Audley, thanks so much for your time. Great to speak to you just a few days out from this huge fight at Wembley Stadium between Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. Just how excited are you, and what are your initial feelings ahead of this one?
Yeah, definitely I can see it's captured the public imagination. Fights do, and definitely two British fighters fighting each other. Frank Bruno and Lennox Lewis probably the last time. So it's a big clash, and Dillian's waited long for Dillian's been the mandatory for a little while, so he's waited long. Tickets have sold out of it. It's public are interested in the fight. It's boxing is alive and well.
Let's get to your thoughts. How do you think this fight is going to be won and lost?
Dillian Whyte's been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. Styles make fights, and stylistically, Fury does have a lot in his favor. He's you look at his amateur career, he was a good boxer coming up. Most of his career, he's been a boxer sitting on the back foot, boxing and moving. Nobody's really been able to shut the space with him and close him down and put him under real pressure. He's been able to do really what he wants with his style. Then he's gone to Sugar Hill, and now he's made him a come forward fight, so much more aggressive. When he fought Deontay Wilder, they changed the game plan, second fight, and started going forward with that front foot pressure. So now he has an added dimension. So he has a lot of advantages in his favor in this fight. Dillian Whyte, there's no quitting Dillian Whyte. So he's going to be coming forward, trying to land his right hand. Look back at some of these fights. And when he's fighting the big guy, he's got a great right hand that he rolls over, he drops down, he throws the big right hand over the top. But the thing about Tyson Fury, you can knock down Tyson Fury, it doesn't matter. Steve Cunningham put him to sleep, Deontay Wilder, and he gets up. He looks like he's getting put to sleep, but he's not. So he does recover well. He doesn't mind taking a shot. And just like personality-wise, just where he's at, he just seems like he's in a great place. He looks like he's enjoying his boxing. And, Dillian Whyte is the guy that's been chasing him and wanting my shot. But all the advantages are with Tyson Fury. But Dillian Whyte, there's no quitting him. So he's going to be trying to find a way to win. And Tyson Fury's going to have to nail him to the floor. So, one knockdown, two knockdown. Tyson Fury could even get knocked down. So I think we're in for a good clash of styles. The classic boxer who now can come forward against just the mean, angry guy looking to take your head off. So that's how I think Dillian Whyte's going to go in there, just like trying to just take his head off. But I think you need a little bit more than that. I really was studying Dillian Whyte's style. If they've speeded up his feet a bit, his legs are he's a bit flat-footed and he's kind of a little bit ponderous. But if they speed his legs up a bit, that's going to make it a little bit more challenging for Tyson Fury, because if you're giving him angles and you're moving with pace in and out, then it's a little bit harder. But if you're just coming in, plodding after him, not cutting down the space, a lot of trainers don't teach fighters how to cut off the ring. So Dillian Whyte should definitely be trying to cut off the ring, moving diagonally across the ring rather than just following him around. And if he does that, he's going to make it interesting. If he adds some feints in, lots of feints, moving with good dynamics, each way and cutting off Fury, it's going to make it harder for him, hitting him to the body and head. So if he changes the game plan, I know he's got a coach that's technically thinks about it a bit. Don't just go, hey, let's just have a fight. It's not a fight. Technically. So if they do that, it's going to make it interesting.
Can you see a way that Dillian wins this fight? Because as you mentioned before, Tyson Fury has shown he can be knocked down. He's been put down by Deontay Wilder. Many say that Deontay Wilder is one of the hardest hitting heavyweights in recent memory. We know that Dillian can hit as well, but does he have the power to keep Tyson Fury down?
Yeah, so the thing about keeping somebody down, you need the accumulation of punches, right? And you need to be able to wear them down, then take them out. You haven't really seen Tyson Fury looking like a guy that can get worn down, taken out. You know, he lives the life, he trains, he's in great shape, so he's ready for that 12-round battle if is needed. But Dillian Whyte, like I said, if they go in, if they really thought about it and have a great game plan, and the game plan to break down Tyson Fury is you've got to be on your feet. You can't be flat-footed with him. But if you're on your feet and you're beating him up to head and body, and you just take him in a war and outlast him, because Tyson Fury's in great shape, he can box 12 rounds. So if you're prepared, like physically, mentally, and your condition is a state where you can push him and fight at a higher pace than him, then that's the way you burn him out. You've got to fight Tyson Fury at a higher pace than he fights right now. There was the pocket rocket back in the day, Wayne McCulloch, and he used to fight just non-stop punches, and it just used to burn the fighters out. And Dillian Whyte has that kind. He does have a work rate, but he has to go to that crazy work rate. And if he does that, he could. If I was training Dillian Whyte, I would make him throw 100 punches around. You know, with movement, with feinting, with cutting off the ring, and you're throwing 100 punches around, which is almost impossible. But you can, you know, that's the way to beat Tyson Fury. It's not trying to box him. It's not trying to knock him out. It's to wear him out with non-stop accumulation of punches. That's the way you beat Tyson Fury. If I was training Dillian Whyte, he would go to altitude. I know he goes to Portugal. He would go to altitude. And that's the way you beat Tyson Fury. You punch him non-stop every second of every round till he wears out. That's the way you beat him. Because he's a tough Irishman. He's never quitting. Never, ever. But then Dillian Whyte's a Jamaican. He's never quitting either. Right? Which is why, you know, I've got a lot of love for Dillian Whyte, a lot of love for Tyson Fury, because they've done amazing with their careers. But you've got to take Tyson Fury into a zone that he's never gone to. And the only way you can do that is with his fitness, because you're not going to be able to break his heart.
Fascinating matchup. But what have you made of the fact that Dillian has remained silent until now? He didn't come to the press conference. He's not really spoken about the fight until yesterday. What do you think? What a role will this play? The mind games, the fact that so far Dillian hasn't decided to engage with Tyson either in person or online.
Yeah, which is different for Dillian Whyte, because he's normally the guy throwing shots, taking shots in terms of like verbally, you know. And I think him shutting down is probably a smart thing in terms of saving his energy. You know, like doing social media when you're fighting takes a lot of energy. Once you cut it out, you're able to go into a different zone, which is good. Contractually, I don't know where that's going to put him, because obviously he's, you know, you're committed to help promote the fight. You have to promote the fight, but the fight sold itself. You can say Tyson, you know, the fight, people wanting to see the fight, it sold itself. So it doesn't really matter as long as it doesn't affect his bank balance. I think he's going to come in refreshed. I think it's helped him, even though you've got to promote the fight as part of your job, but the fight sold itself. And I think Dillian Whyte feels refreshed doing this strategy, what he does, which he's going to do. And he hasn't burnt no energy out. Like going back and forth, because Tyson Fury loves this. He loves that. He's a showman, isn't he? He loves it. Dillian Whyte's not a showman. He's like mean and brooding, just wants to get on with the job, knock your head off. So he probably made a smart move in engaging with Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is going to win that battle, and that may take something from you mentally. So it's actually a smart move.
And in terms of your prediction for the fight itself, who wins? And if it doesn't go the distance, when does this fight end?
So I've got to go with Tyson Fury. I don't see anything in I think Dillian Whyte's can push him real close. Could even cause an upset if some of the things if I was doing his game plan, he did. But I don't think he's going to do those things. So I think he's gonna go in there and go out on his shield. You know, he's gonna try and win every round. But ultimately, I think Tyson Fury is gonna be one step ahead of him. I think he's gonna go back to his boxing a little bit for this one. He ain't just gonna sit there and try and more with him, because that's not gonna be a smart move for Tyson Fury. So he's gonna come back with a little bit of his boxing and in and out a bit, but also putting his weight on Dillian Whyte and hitting him every time he's got him inside. He's gonna push him down, lean on him. Do like the Lennox move of just pushing him down. You know, Emmanuel Stewart was great with that with Lennox. Like, just put your weight on him. And then when you're in the inside, you just lift him up, you know, and Tyson's going to beat him up to the body, beat him up to the head. But Dillian Whyte's going to make it interesting for about six, 7 rounds. I think he's going to be in the fight, and it's going to be, not even, but he may be like a round or two behind, and then he's going to walk onto a shot. And Tyson Fury could even get knocked down in the earlier round. He could walk onto a right hand, like trying to go for it, walking on, and he could walk onto a right hand. But I think Tyson Fury, whether it's a big points lead and he wins on points, or he gets a late stoppage, that's the way I see it. But I definitely think, Dillian Whyte could rip up that script, because I think he really wants it. Like some people, like I said, the Clubber Lang movie, like the Rocky movie with Clubber Lang and Rocky Balboa. He really wants it. How Apollo Creed, not Apollo, but Mr. T played that role. He was like mean and just like, I want you, man. And that's how Dillian Whyte is. He has that kind of character, and it's real. He's the real Clubber Lang. So I'm rooting for both guys, and I think Tyson Fury he's got it. But Dillian Whyte's going to have to be carried out because he's not going to quit.
Well, we can't wait for the fight to get underway next Saturday. Now, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you about Anthony Joshua, because it looks like this rematch will happen finally with Alexander Usyk in July. As a fellow Olympic gold medalist yourself, do you think Anthony's got what it takes to get back to where he was a year or so ago?
So Joshua, he's got a tough one with Usyk, because Usyk is technically, he's come from the amateurs with, the Russians and the Ukrainians. They have a great history of just producing great boxers, and so Joshua's coming in. He turned pro. He won the Olympics like myself. Turned pro, but fundamentally, it's a lot of those. Like, he didn't have 300 fights. He came through quick. He went through the ABAs quick, got to the Olympics, and he done amazing. Because he was out of his depth in terms of his experience. And then he turned pro, and he quickly goes through a world title, and so a lot of the fundamentals that you pick up, like you see Lennox, the fundamentals that Lennox picked up when he lost the first time he went back, fixed that. Then he lost to Oliver McCall, then he fixed that. Then he got with Emmanuel Stewart. They changed trainers along the way. And so when he went with Emmanuel finished him off. Same as Emmanuel done with Vladimir. When he got to Vladimir, he finished him off. And so Joshua hasn't had that finishing off yet. In terms of his fundamentals, he's a great fighter, great heavyweight. He won a world champion. What more can you ask for? What fundamentals? Just like Tyson Fury with Sugar Hill, those fundamentals he doesn't have yet, and he needs certain fundamentals and certain tricks to beat Usyk. So when he fought Usyk the first time, none of those tricks were on evidence. So when he got a little tired and when he got a little frustrated, he weren't able to make those adjustments. Boxing at that level is about making adjustments. And so you got to have a teacher in there. You can't just have you have a trainer. Rob McCracken's been school. He was with the same trainer that I had, Del Toro and Eddie Futch. So he's had great schooling. But Joshua doesn't have those fundamentals and those tricks that he's going to need. So like he's talking like, oh, I've got to be tough. I've got to go in there and just jump on him. And I think you do have to jump on Usyk, but you have to like I said, you got to do it with the right boxing fundamentals, which is about closing the space, which is about feinting, it's about tying him up the right way. There's all these little tricks that you can do that he needs to incorporate in the next fight. He can't just jump on him. Like when I fought Alexei Lesin, was another great amateur Russian in the Olympic first round, and everyone thought I was going to lose to him. He was like 300 fights. I'd lost to him the year before, but when I lost to him, for the whole year, that's one guy that I worked on. And his style was very similar. If you watch his style, very similar to Usyk. So I jumped on him, but it was very calculated. It was like front foot pressure, feinting, front foot pressure, jump on him, jump off him, push him. Every time he's close, hit him low, hit him over the top. It's like that's the way Joshua has to be. It has to be like a masterclass of box fighting. Just like when Lennox boxed David Tua. When Lennox boxed Holyfield, it's like you got to use your jab as your fundamental. You beat him up with a jab. So, because if you're not using your jab, Usyk's just going to keep walking in. You're going to make it too easy. So the jab's got to be a hard jab, soft jab. You got stick, and then every time he comes in close, you got to beat him up and then turn him around. And just Joshua's not doing none of that stuff that he could do you can't just jump. You could jump on him and just knock him out, but you're going to have to take too much to do that. And Joshua, I don't think he's not like a Tyson. He's just going to go for the win no matter what. Like a Ricky Hatton just was going for the win no matter what and would take those shots just to get in there and end the show. Joshua doesn't have that style. So I just think he just needs to add some fundamentals to his game and just have a clear game plan, and then an option 2 if that doesn't work. You have to have a plan A, a plan B, and I think he'll be all right. But it's mentally, he's just got to believe. He's got to believe in the system. And I think he's got a few people in his corner that just makes him confused about his system. When you're in there and you have a clear system and a clear game plan, you're in a much better place. So I just think he just needs to stabilize his team, have a clear game plan in place, and they work on it and they believe it. And I think, he has a chance to turn Usyk over, because Usyk is not big enough. If you're doing, just like why I said with Leslie, if I'm doing the right stuff, his side, I'm going to destroy him, and that's what he needs to do. But he has to do it with a good game plan in place, and they're all on the same page.